Hey, how you doing? Okay, I want to talk about how we have forgotten the art of curating a playlist lately and how that's very important to us and why essentially because at least I personally believe that you need a shitty thing in your life to stay sane, like something that's imperfect, something that's like a bad movie or a shitty reality TV show to just like get you back into place. And oh, there are people much worse than you, so it's all right. But I'm not saying that curating a playlist means like curating the playlist badly on purpose. I'm saying that it's just imperfect. It cannot be perfect ever. So I could have titled this video by saying that the forgotten art of curating a perfect playlist, but that's not the point. The point of curation is to be imperfect, is to just put things together that don't really go well together. Okay, that might go well together, but it's like it's not an album, it's not made together. So it's not like sticking together as in it's not you're not married, so you're gonna stay together for life. But it's not like that. It's in a way that oh, we're friends, so we're gonna know each other for a while, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna have a good time, and then we're gonna like really move on with our own lives and like get our own careers and our own friends and just like but it's gonna be beautiful. Like the part where we are friends and we hang out, that part is beautiful. And I think that's like the fleetingness of that moment that makes it even more precious. And I think that's that's exactly how I feel about curating a playlist because you're not gonna stay with that playlist forever. Like I just make new playlists every month and then move on from the last one. So it is fleeting, but that's the point. In a way that I can like document my own personal growth as well, like where I am in my own life. I just make a playlist that matches that vibe, and then we go from there. And then it changes, and then the playlist changes, and the music changes, and it's just beautiful. I think it's beautiful. I think it's been forgotten, and we need to get that back. So, step one, obviously pick a vibe, sense the vibes around you, sense where you are in your life, and like, oh, in this stage of my life, this is the kind of songs that I want to listen to, and this is how I want my playlist to be. For example, I recently made a playlist called Unidentified Items in My Bag. It was definitely, it was far from anything because, oh, I had items in my bag that I just didn't know, like, what to do with, and I didn't know, like, why are these rappers just here? It's not like that at all. It's actually the opposite because like, obviously I moved countries now, so I have like all of my other stuff here, which is very clean, and all my bags are like squeaky, they clean and empty. So I have no unidentified items in my bag, and I kind of miss them. So I made that because I want to reminisce on that feeling that, oh, I have unidentified items in my bag. Like something that to recognize me by that's just like not, that's just like a random rapper, like Toffee rapper or something that, oh, Tanvi might have just tossed it in there because she just eats that all the time. So that entire playlist is just a weird mix of artists put together just because I just want to listen to them together. And I think that they go together in my mind, and I think that's all that matters because yeah. And now I have a checklist of keep in mind these things. The first one, it literally says experience curation is a math, and only you know how that maths actually, because you know your own experience and you are really committed to making that experience perfect. You can make an experience perfect. I never said that. The second one is sticking to one genre is a lie. That one. No bad playlist is a myth. There are bad playlists. I'm sorry. People just like put everything in one playlist and it's like a 10-hour long playlist. I can't stand that shit. That's not a playlist curation. That's just like live songs. I just shuffle my live songs. I'm sorry. What? It just defeats the purpose of curation. Okay, the fourth one is any two songs go well together if you're feisty enough. Let me back that up. In this playlist, I just have a song called Taking What's Not Yours by TV Girl, which is just like this is the rhythm it goes on. And then like as you go on that, it's literally like there's just like hardcore EDM switch. And I think that like those two songs still go well in that same playlist even if I shuffle it because of the very fact that they just go well together in my mind. Like it's just the same vibe. So this is my experience building for myself. And this is how those two twos are not gonna be four for everyone. And we need to understand that. And that's how we curate in a personalized manner. We'll get to that. We'll put a pin in this and we'll move on. So I did some research, of course. The first research paper I found was by James Malaya. It's called Currently Listening to Curating Artist Playlists and Authenticity on Spotify. I really like this paper because they're talking about like how Spotify really playlists things according to the like made for Tanvi. You can find a radio based on one like particular song as well. I really appreciate that because there are times when there's a particular vibe to a song which you cannot really find anywhere else. I really admire the playlisting techniques that Spotify has adopted. Something else I want to touch on is how to break free since you're not a machine. That's where we land upon probably our most important topic of the video. That's called abstraction. Now, this is where I put a pin in, by the way, and I found another paper related to that, obviously. You need to be abstract when you curate. And this paper is by Thomas Elias Sider, Curational Abstraction and the Reanimation of the Cold War. I couldn't find the entire paper, so I just have the abstract. A lot of papers on this compare the act of curation, something like it's modern, like playlist and memes and like a Pinterest board, any curation that is digital of any kind. They have compared it to how people working in museums curate art and sculptures and like archaeological stuff, landing on the same techniques and methods that adopted, or they lie on the same plane, examining the role of museums and galleries by considering the case of the exhibition. And like if you get back to it, it's so fascinating to me that it's kind of a skill that's so broad, open to interpretation, that you can just like put things together by yourself, and whatever just goes. And any art requires a vision. This is kind of a vision that just like comes together, and I think it's beautiful. This is the beauty of abstraction, because you can basically put together anything, and it's your personal experience, so it doesn't really need to make sense to anybody else. And the next point is the genius behind Discover Weekly, that Spotify does a collection of new songs every week for me to discover. The genius part of this is the personalization, because it's made for Tanvi. It's made for like this one user who listens to this types of particular songs. It's going to be well received. It's going to be foolproof because they already listen to this kind of songs, and it's going to go well together with each other because they're like kind of on the same plane. But this is where they kind of sometimes fall short. I've fallen off of it, like I'm never on it again. But especially if you're bilingual and you're listening to songs in all languages that you know, that is not recommended. So it can be a fail, it can still be like a good discovery of new songs. And the next one is artist playlists. Arctic Monkeys has like artist playlists of the people in the band. So through this one research paper, I came out to 3 points. That was abstraction, personalization, and inspiration play like a very crucial role in the curation of any playlist. Is this like, if you nail these 3 parts, if you make it abstract enough, if you personalize it to your experience how you want it, and if you have the right inspirations and you've like included those inspirations in there as well without any social foundation. Like my type playlist is too niche, but this one song is kind of like, this is just like Want to Break Free by Queen, so it's just doesn't fit in. But that's the whole point. It can still fit in. If anything just goes. So my second point is curation and memes, and I found a very cool paper on that actually. It's called Patterns of Freeform Curation, Visual Thinking with Web Context by Lupfer and their colleagues. It had some cool ass images that I want to show. The point of this entire paper was basically to say how freeform visual thinking is an ode to memes, and how to curate is to be free. And wow, through these images they have shown how visual thinking, web design in the modern day has gotten so free form and so open to interpretation, so you can put in whatever you want and it just makes sense, and it's just like easy to understand. And if there's no like, okay, you can probably put a foundation on yourself by saying that, oh, this is so cringy, this is so low effort, but at the end of the day it's so like authentic, true to yourself, because this is like, no machine can make this, that is exhausting, that any machine can probably make it. But I don't know, I think to curate is to be free, and that's adorable. This is a second paper that I also found. It's called Curation by Annika Wolf and Paul Mudderland. I also found this very fascinating in the aspect that its entire idea is like there's a process to curation. It goes from research to content selection and collection to interpretation and then like organization of the content and its annotations and then narration and then people research again because like it just goes on. And it just comes back to that one, I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's in cognitive behavioral therapy, they've taught us that there's an ABC model. A is the activating life events that happen to you. B is the beliefs and your values that you use to interpret those events. And C are the consequences of that. And a lot of people just say that, oh, it's just A to C, it's just events and then consequence of that. The belief that impacts our interpretation of the said event is just as important. And I think it goes in the same way. There was just some research and then there was narration and that was kind of it. But no, there was the big interpretation of that content that went into that. Like, for example, I just saw a picture on Pinterest that just like there's a bunch of horses running around and I made a board about like a bunch of horses running around and it was just like it was the vibe of just horses running, but then I came across like 10 more images that was the same way, but they don't fit that board the same way. You get what I mean? Because it's the way how I interpret it doesn't fit it. That's curation. That is my cue to jump on to my next research paper as well. There's two. And one of these I found really, really fascinating. So one of the papers was Curation as Methodology by Lindsay Pearson. They were talking about like how curation is compared to like museum professionals. It's so interesting. It's related to socio-cultural histories and exploration of aesthetic works put together. Transferable methodology, you know, like I'm just making a meme thread, bro. And the second paper was by Jan Gressel Camping called Curation as Ontology, or Can We Fold Reality as an Object? Like what we come down to with these two papers was to curate is to create and be real. So in the second paper they're talking about three things basically, and the first one is it real if it's not real unless it is dependent on curation? Second, is it real if it's not real unless it has to be folded, be aesthetic, to be seen? Types of folds like 2-fold, 3-fold, 4-fold, 5-fold, semantics of curation. Next question was, is it real if it's not real unless it is curated extensively enough to match the extensivity of reality? Now this is where you see in this image that, oh, the fifth fold philosophy of curation is directly aligning as much as reality is, because it's so, in a sense, it's so perfect. But if you compare the fourfold and fifthfold philosophy of curation, is it that good? Is it still real, is the question. Okay, one last paper. It says, From Listening to Curating, Anthropological Curatorship Towards Music Playlist Practices. And it's written by Fikra Ahnaf. And it's talking about like the curatorial approach and like its influence beyond limitations of museums and art galleries. It just connected those two things the same way that I'm trying to do in this video, basically. And it's talking about this one research that they did and the qualitative data that they found. Two outcomes of the study. The first one was that the socio-cultural circumstances, the basis of the preference formation in the process that people took upon to select, curate and make those music playlists. And the second was the particulars of each user's music playlists that are related to their own self-discovery and individual identity. How it's connected so deeply to who we are and who we are in a society. It's so important for us to recognize that. And I think that's all I got for you today in this video. I might have yapped way too much, but I'm so sorry. And thank you so much for sticking around. And never forget the forgotten art of curating a playlist. To honor this video, if you liked it enough, please make a playlist and give me a link for that below in the comments. And I'll see you later. Bye bye.